Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good whatever time it is, wherever you are. Welcome to Living Truthfully, the podcast. Ushago edition. Yeah, unajua, the truth is, I've not done this thing for a minute. I'd forgotten how to start this intro, but I'm in Ushago. It's kiddo 6:15 in the morning. How you doing? What's going on? If you hear sounds outside, these are Ushago sounds, okay? This one doesn't have chickens and things like that, but it really is shags. So is it a post-COVID era, or is it just a post-curfew era? What are we dealing with? And how are you dealing with it? Are you back to work? Are you considering going back to the office full-time? Or are you like me, or a biashara, it never made a difference? What are your new concerns? What are your new, the things that you're excited about? I want to hear those things. Me? Well, moving out of Nairobi has been really good for me. It's allowed me to just slow down a bit, focus, get out of the mark of see I'm in the right places, you know, those things. And yeah, lifting the curfew has sort of lifted the economy of this place a bit more, which we are all excited about, but I don't feel like it's made a big difference for me. Anyway, please let me know what's going on in your life. Amani Maranga at all social media and amanimaranga@gmail.com. I think this also should be called the Uncle Edition podcast, because this is the second podcast I'm having an uncle of mine. The last one we had Uncle Kamande, and he shared about, you know, what a tough year last year was for him, but also give us a lot of hope. And you know, I'm excited about that guy and the life that he's living. It's always been exciting. Now I have another uncle with me. You guys actually know this one. He needs no introduction. The man needs no introduction. He is, or used to be, a basketball player. I don't know whether he still is. He don't bowl no more, but he's bowling another kind of bowling. You know, like you're bowling with Jesus. Yes, that one. He is the man behind the brand I Vow. He is helping people figure out their. You guys, I've just woken up, so if my English is not up to, I'm still booting. Okay, if he's helping people figure out their relationships, their marriage spaces, he's fixing the nation one marriage at a time. That's what he's doing.
That's what's up,
ladies and gentlemen. Give your applause. Put your hands together for the one and only Emmanuel Gachanja.
Hey, what's up?
So what you guys need to know is that this guy is really my uncle.
Yeah,
it's true. And he's actually a closer uncle than Uncle Kamande was, because this one is Uncle Kamande is my uncle through marriage.
Yeah.
This one is a straight bloodline.
Yeah.
But we don't look anything alike.
No.
I'm the light skin in the family.
Yeah.
I like it. Well, not in the family.
Am I the black sheep?
But now I have to be careful of things they say to you, because you're a pastor. Baba black sheep. No, you're not the black sheep, man.
Yeah.
Hey guys, welcome Emmanuel Gachanja. Some of you may have known him. If you've been to Mavuna Church, you may have known him, you know, once in a while, dropping the word from the pulpit. But more importantly, he is, you know, running this wonderful organization that's helping people with their marriages. It's called A Vow. He's married himself. Let's talk about him a little bit. But I want to start with how you're doing today.
Man, I am good. Mm-hmm. I am good. As you know, I've been around for a little bit down in this Ushago.
Ushago is nice.
Yeah.
It's not the original Ushago.
It's not the original Ushago.
But it's the one my father gave me.
Yes. But I love it because you get to slow down life a little bit. You get to chill. you get to smell the roses.
Yeah.
And gain some perspective. You know, sometime in the big city, you're always constantly running, looking for the next gig, looking for the next thing.
Yeah.
And you don't have time to stop and just think. So this has given me that opportunity. Plus, you know, hanging out and having deep conversations.
Had some deep conversations.
What? Yani?
Maybe I'll tell you guys some of it. Maybe. I don't know. But what?
Yeah.
All right. It's good to have you here, man. And,
no worries, man.
And having you over has been such a blessing. Also, I feel like it's been a long time coming in terms of the reconnecting. You know?
Yeah. I'm just sad that I finally come on after CG 70 or 100 something episodes, you know.
Don't be sad.
But it's okay. It's
Don't be
okay.
sad. It's your time. This time round,
Yeah.
they're not crowded.
They're not crowded.
They're not crowded.
Fantastic.
You get your time, yani.
I
The
love
next
it.
one might chomoka next year. I'm not
Love
saying that. I'm just saying I don't know, but they're not crowded.
Yeah.
So it's the right time for you. How's the family?
Family is good. Family is good. Oldest is about to finish Form 4.
I know that's crazy.
I'm
man.
just like, what? Where does time go?
Yeah, we didn't even think you could be responsible. You
I know,
like
right?
Yeah.
Just the other day, I was just like, first of all, will this guy ever get a woman?
Yeah. Well, that one we were not too concerned about. Yeah.
Well, I appreciate it. I appreciate recognizing the game, you know. But yeah.
Yeah.
But
we're
so
recognizing the game.
now
That's what we're doing.
we're in the stage of thinking through universities. I'm just like, when did I get here? Who is this?
Wow.
Yeah,
and hope and soon then, you know, empty nesting. So you start to think about where do you want to live, you know, when they're not and the kids are not in the house anymore.
And let me tell you, this trip has given me ideas.
Oh, it has, eh? Oh, I like it. But I don't think it's the coast here. Knowing you, I think I know where it is.
Yeah.
You have a ministry called I Vow. And what's crazy is that for me, and I've known you all my life. Sorry guys, if you hear some of those sounds outside, it's just my Ushago guys have woken up to start feeding the nation.
Yeah.
What's crazy is I knew you as a fun guy, and we had some good times. We call him Gasho, and for even though he's my uncle, I don't say Uncle Gasho, it's just Gasho. Because our age difference is not that much.
Yeah.
But so he was more my boy than my uncle, though his dad was really my guka, so that one there was no, I couldn't say your Jim. But so I knew as a fun guy, you know, I knew he liked music, blah blah blah, and we'll talk about music in just a bit. But I never saw you as a pastor, man. And maybe it was my perspective, but you know, I didn't see you ever becoming a man of the cloth, because I know you're not, you know, the traditional pastor right now, but you know, you still, in a sense, you still represent that space.
Yeah.
And you told me a crazy story about knowing it since you were 9. God showed you.
Yeah.
Tell me that story.
So it's back in those days.
I was like, this self-censoring thing.
Yeah. So being 9 years old, I remember I would go to sleep and I would have the same dream. In this dream, I would see myself in the future, like many years in the future. In fact, way older than I am right now. Grade and all that, and dressed up pretty nifty. I don't think I remember seeing those clothes those days. So this could be 3000s or something. You know, it's futuristic.
It's futuristic clothing.
So I just remember myself standing in front of people and helping lots of people. And this dream went on for like 9 months, 9 to 10 months. So it was quite a long, and I remember I would really long to go to sleep because I knew I would dream the dream. And it was such a really cool dream. And it gave me good feelings and good vibes. So for me, I translated that to, you know, I've always wanted, I think that planted a seed in my mind for being there for people, for wanting to be there for people. And I think at the heart of it, I've always had like a shepherd's heart, for lack of a better word. That's what we say in Christianese, but I like to care for people and take care of people. Yeah, so that's a big deal for me.
You know what's crazy is that when I do my, some of the work that I do with men, when I'm doing my coaching work, there's a process where I take guys back to their 8-9-year-old selves.
Yeah.
Because I think at that point there's such clarity and purity. And this is when in our developmental stage we also start to develop our emotions. They started around the age of 7 to 10.
Yeah.
As boys, but something very clear about that age. And I keep saying, if a boy is being well nurtured at that age, then that boy is going to grow up as a secure guy.
Yeah.
But if a boy receives trauma at that age, then that's a trauma he's gonna have to heal from.
Yeah.
For him to live free as an adult.
Yeah.
And that's crazy. 9 years old, you're gonna be a pastor.
Yeah, but it couldn't be something that I tell everybody.
Did you ever tell your folks?
Oh man, I remember one time I was in the dining room. We lived in Upper Hill.
Yeah.
So I was in the dining room and my mom was going between the store and the kitchen. And I remember I had a hymn book, there's this Swahili hymn book, Tenzi za Rohoni.
Hey,
and I was singing a bunch of those hymns. And I don't know, this is long before salvation and stuff. And, I didn't even barely know what Christianity is. My parents, we used to go to church, but I slept through it all. I know, right? I slept through the service. So I didn't know anything about this church thing, God thing. But I remember I used to feel good singing. So I tell my mom, Mom, with all the pride and all the joy and everything in me, all the conviction, when I grow up, I'm going to be a pastor. And then, I wasn't ready for what was about to come out.
I'm very curious about what came out, man.
Oh, man. First of all, there was a, Unaelewa unachosema wewe? Unajua wachungaji ni wale wanaoomba. Ebu usiniletee mambo hayo. And I was like, damn, shut down. So I think after that particular moment,
she was going to be the one that would be a prayer warrior.
I know, right?
Yeah.
So that moment right there changed my entire perspective on how I do this whole Christianity thing. So I never overtly say it. I just allow my actions to do it. So that's probably why most people didn't know. I think the only person I ever told was my cousin Sam, because he asked me and he was wondering, how do you know so clearly? Yeah,
that's crazy. Sorry to go here, but when your mom passed away, the one thing that was said a lot about her was about prayer.
Yeah,
that was one of the things that was said a lot about her.
Yeah.
And so I just find it funny that she says, watu wa kuomba. It's like, that.
Yeah.
It's just,
I guess it's that whole thing that you see the narrative where people don't believe.
Yeah.
And then once they catch the bug, they go crazy. They go wild.
Yeah. And also just how God has a sense of humor.
Yeah.
Kuomba.
Yeah.
Kuomba.
Yeah.
Have a little.
Yeah. That's true.
That's crazy, man.
Yeah.
In my 10 years, because we lived in the same hood, and we were talking about the prank you pulled from me the other day.
Yeah.
And I have threatened you, your children will go through this. I will prank your kids.
As long as it's on tape and recorded, and all these folks out here have witnessed it. It's all good.
Hey, You guys, one day, once I'm healed from the wound, I'll tell you how my folks moved out and never told me where we live.
Yeah.
And Gachanja was my only salvation, taking me home. Growing up, you are really just like you and your sister, especially Hazel, like could. I keep saying she saved my life.
Yeah.
She taught me a few things about being a dude.
Yeah.
And especially being a dude where chicks are concerned.
Yeah.
So it was a sister, for example, who affirmed something my grandfather told me, your uncle. So he had once told me mwanaume ni kiatu mwanamke ni nywele. But it was a sister who told me kiatu means it has to be clean. Yeah. So it's not just a good shoe, it has to be a clean shoe.
Yeah.
So your sister told me chicks like good dudes with clean shoes.
Yeah.
From that day,
Yeah.
I had polished my shoes and I can look myself inside just because of that.
Yeah.
So I feel like there was this mentorship role that you played a lot for me. Just maybe like a peer mentorship, but because you were older, you knew more stuff than I did.
Yeah.
And in my 10 years, I remember like when you were leaving abroad and when you were just about to leave to go abroad, you gave me some music, and I was telling you the story there.
Yeah, that was powerful, bro. I didn't even know that.
You gave me some music, and it was crazy because I was singing.
Yeah.
I was in Form 3 when you left.
Yeah.
I'd already joined the Fortress worship team.
Yeah.
Fortress was a youth church, youth church for Sitam now, Pente then.
Valley Road,
that we used to go to, and I just joined the worship team. Mike Nyauke was now, sort of mentoring us and building up this worship team. But for me, it means that I'm in church singing over the holidays.
Yeah.
Because I'm in boarding school.
Yeah.
And you gave me All Out, Payday. There were 3, and Take 6.
Yeah.
What you didn't know is that I knew the Winans, but I didn't really know all their music. I only knew what was popular.
Yeah.
So, what is that song? Count it all joy. So I knew a song like that.
Yeah.
But most of the other songs I didn't know. And so this gift meant so much to me because I was a music lover.
Yeah.
And I'd play them over and over again, and All Out became my favorite. And till today is one of the albums I have in all my music apps.
Yeah.
But then I also really loved Take 6. And the album you gave me was Join the Band.
Yeah.
Which was a multi-Grammy winning award, which is the first time Take 6 were using instruments. So they're moving from a cappella. I was like, this was such good music, and sometimes I'd sing along, and when you're with headphones, and let me tell you a funny story. You're with headphones, and you're singing along. There's no context for what you're singing along, So there's a Winans song. They say, with eyes of compassion, he looked upon this woman. Without condemning, he said, go and sin no more.
Yeah.
And I'm with headphones. I'm just walking in the house. Then I'm just singing.
With eyes of compassion.
With eyes of compassion, he looked upon that woman without even... And then I couldn't tell it was condemning. I just saw a slap from my mom.
Oh, because she can't hear the music.
Yeah,
you have the headphones on.
With eyes of compassion, he looked upon this woman like, whatever this nigga is listening to is not right.
I know, right? Yeah.
I'm trying to convince her it's a gospel song, But that, I was telling you the story how Tomorrow, the song Tomorrow by the Winans, became such a important song for me.
Yeah.
And when later when I was in crisis, that song is actually the reason I went back to a relationship with God, man.
Wow. That was
thank
powerful,
you.
man.
Thank you, man.
Powerful.
You never know the seeds you plant.
That's true. That's true. That's true. And I've always believed that, but I never know. Did they do something to whoever it was? And in this case, was just giving you 3, not CDs, tapes.
Tips, yeah, the tips.
Yeah.
The tips.
Because we didn't know CDs then.
Yeah.
We had
Tips.
Walkmans.
I had a Walkman.
Yeah.
I was bougie.
I know, right?
We've talked about your mom.
Yeah.
Your folks, my grandparents. You know. And in the last few years, you've lost both of them. I'm sorry for that, man.
No, thank you. Thank you.
Losing your dad for us was hard. First, because it was sudden, of course, but secondly, even though he was the last born, the guy was like the pillar of the family. And the last one of his siblings was the pillar of his family.
Yeah.
How you healing from that? And sometimes I look at you and I wonder, you know, you're going through life. Yes, you know, you've got to move on.
Yeah.
Take on now the role of the leader in the family.
Yeah.
But how are you dealing with, you know, just waking up and realizing, I don't have my dad to call. I don't have my mom to call.
Yeah.
I know we're adults, but it's not easy to lose your parents at any age. I
not
watched
at all.
my boy Tosh this year lose his dad.
Yeah.
This year, and the guy is in his mid-50s.
Yeah.
And it hit him hard. How you doing?
Man, I'm hanging in there, and I'm making the most of it. And I think one of the things I have tried to do is intentionally do, quote unquote, what should be the right things to help the process a little bit better. I remember when the news came, man, first of all, it just totally gutted me, man. I was crying. Kevin Derito came over to the house. David Courier was there, and Lucy was there too. And man, I remember I was a hot mess, man. I was a hot mess. And then the news comes to me, and I have to tell my sisters. And I'm just like, first of all, you know, it doesn't come at the most opportune time where you can just walk to them and then hug them and then tell them.
Yeah.
So Hazel is out, you know, abroad.
Yeah.
So I have to make that call. Her hubby was nowhere near. So I'm just like, man, I'd rather be the one who rips this Band-Aid and says it than her hear it from, you know how social media is now. You can get news about your person from social media, and you sleep in the same house.
And exactly.
You know, R.I.P. I don't like that culture, but anyway. So I call and tell her, and man, the response on the phone just took me 100 notches deeper down into that whole grieving process. Then I have to call Manka and tell her, you know, and she's not where she's supposed to be. Where she is quite far. Is quite far. So I eventually, you know, get a hold of her and tell her, and she comes over. And man, now we have to start this whole grieving process. But at the back of my mind, it's just that, wait a minute. Now I'm the head of this home. So as soon as the news came, it meant a mantle has been already passed on, whether I liked it or not. So it brings added pressure. Let me tell you, for the next 21 days, I don't think I slept even 5 hours. I could not sleep. I could not sleep. I was a hot mess. And then I had, you know, the broken-hearted feeling that you feel the pain in your heart, and I had this nervousness in my tummy, and it just couldn't stop, and it was not ending. And I honestly thought I was going nuts. I honestly thought, you know, this is it, mental illness. This is it. I'll be classed as one of those crazy people. So what I did one day is I was just like, you know what? If I don't do something about this, my family is getting affected because I'm not there, not for my wife, not for my kids. I'm not there for anything around me. Fortunately or unfortunately, I have a role to play in society. So society also looks up to me, and there's many people who look up to me. So I'm not there for any of these people. And at this moment, I just called my sisters and told them, hey, we're all going for counseling. I need you guys to pick a counselor, and we're going for counseling. So we would do that, and then later on, after we've all had our sessions, have a conversation. So it was double therapy.
Like a debrief.
Yeah. Well, it was not debrief, but it was more like double therapy, I feel, because we're doing individual counseling and then group therapy much later.
With yourselves.
Yeah, because here, we are talking about what did you learn? What did you hear? Oh, wow, I didn't see. Oh, I actually see that in me,
So there's discovery.
So there's discovery in the process. So it was a beautiful thing. Through that counseling, and I'm stressing this because, a lot of us don't go through counseling. Through the counseling, my counselor was just a really, really amazing counselor. And she managed to change how my perspective was from choosing to grieve to celebrating his life and living out his legacy. And this came about because when I was talking about him, I would glow about the things he's done for us. He was an amazing dad. He every Sunday, sorry about that, every Sunday would be family day, and he would spend time with us. And, after church, we all go and eat together, and then he would take us out for a ride somewhere in Kiambu, in the tea factory, whatever, tea factories, and just check them out and see the beauty of the country. He would take us to Naivasha for what do you call it? Just, to go eat and then ride horses and see animals. He would take us to the national park. Sunday was a day to look forward to because you hang out with dad and you spend so much time with him. He also took us, sometimes on holidays to different places. So we lived a really good life with him. So anytime I was talking about him, I was glowing. And one of the things the counselor picked out is that I really look up to him and I admire him. So she asked me, do you do some of these things for your kids? And I was like, yes, I do, but not as intentionally as he did. So it changed the way I do things. And in changing the way I do things, one of the first things, because we're in lockdown, is the only place we could go is the Nairobi National Park. So a good friend of mine, Mao Safaris, they hooked up, Land Cruiser. And we did that whole thing, got to see lots of animals that day with the boys, and we had the binoculars looking through that. And I was just like, oh snap, this is how he felt doing this for us. And I remember he would tell us about the different animals and stuff. And it just felt so cathartic. There was so much healing in being able to do that for the kids. So now there's many things I do intentionally. My dad used to hug us and tell us I love you. So I do that much more often for my kids. I've taken it a notch higher. I pray and bless them every morning and give them some pep talks and tell them how amazing men they are and how, they're destined for greatness. So doing that just gives me so much healing. Makes me feel like he's there. We were talking about yesterday when you saw me walking and you said, oh, snap.
For a moment there, I was like,
is that Guka?
Yeah. You walk exactly like him.
Yeah. So there's moments like that when I'm in town and I'm walking past, those big windows with reflections, reflective. And you see yourself in him. When I'm sitting down, there's a thing he used to do, and he would, pick out his eyebrows. And I do that. There's something when I'm focusing on something he used to do with his mouth. I do that. So I laugh every time, and I said, you're here with me. So it's a fun journey.
Yeah.
And then also the realization that it's the circle of life. So it was bound to happen. It's how I handle it and how I deal with it that makes the difference.
That's true, man.
And now a word from our sponsors.
This episode of Living Truthfully is brought to you by the generous contribution of listeners like you. If you'd like to contribute to our podcast as a way of saying thank you, good job, keep going at it, or just a way of buying us coffee, please check the details on how you can give your love donation in the show notes of this episode. Don't forget to subscribe to the show and leave a rating or review. Thank you. And now, back to our story. You know, when I first came from hospital, the first digs I came to as a kid.
Yeah.
You know, as a 1 or 2 year old child.
Your mom was living in our house at the time, yeah.
I know. Just give me a high five.
That.
So your dad did that to me.
You're silly.
As an adult.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know if I did that to everyone. I feel like he did.
He did, yeah.
I wanted to think it is special. No, he
No.
just killed my bubble. But it's something I do to kids till today. So that high five, then you had her.
Yeah.
That was your dad's thing for me.
Yeah.
One of your dad's things for me.
Yeah.
And it's crazy how that thing gives kids so much joy till today. And I learned that from him. And obviously you've been cooking the last couple of days, and you've made some incredible meals. And you're saying you saw your father cook.
I saw my dad cook, man. He used to cook. It wasn't my mom's cooking, but he cooked.
Yeah. Your mom's cooking was a whole new.
Yeah.
It was like.
Yeah.
Chef.
Yeah. But his food was so tasty, and it felt so tasty, so healthy, so rich. I really enjoyed his cooking. There was a time my mom worked in Somalia for the UNOSOM. When they were on mission there, UN was on mission there. And so we were with him. So Sundays, he would cook for us. The days he's lazy, we would end up in Sagret Hotel eating nyama choma.
Very cool.
Yeah, but he enjoyed cooking. In fact, even after mom passed on and we'd go and visit him, he would insist on cooking, and he doesn't want any help. It's like, it's my joy to do this for you.
Yeah.
There's a certain way I want it to look, taste and stuff, and we'll eat it together. So I would let him do his thing. If I wanted to cook or participate, I cook at home and bring the food.
Because he's not going to
He's not going to let. Yeah.
And your mom was a phenomenal woman. Warm. It's funny, we were talking about how this counseling thing could be from your mother as well.
No, it is from my mother. It is from my mother. I remember how every person who knew her used to come to seek wisdom from her. Because, man, she had wisdom like crazy. And it was the very unusual wisdom that you don't get from anybody else. She would actually go counterculture, tell you to do the opposite thing. And you're just like, woman, you is crazy. But, man, you do it and your situation and circumstance changes. A lot of her friends in the UN who had failing marriages, I remember her talking for hours and hours. Man, bruh, our telephone bill. Then those days it was, the landlines.
Yeah.
Man, it was crazy. It was crazy. But she would constantly call, and you'd hear her talking, to the point of calming somebody down. But listening to them, empathizing with them, sympathizing with them, and, all the way to, getting them to the point of listening to her. And yeah, she would share some crazy things. But yeah, I think growing up, she kind of mentored me because now, guess what I'm doing?
Yep.
Yeah.
Marriage counseling.
Yeah.
I really this just yesterday I was thinking about how lucky you are to have had the parents that you did. Just very, very fortunate. Both of them incredible human beings.
Yeah.
Both of them very good at what they did.
Yeah.
As a career and a profession. Both of them passionate about family, about each other. You saw things that, at your home in terms of romance and your parents' relationship that people don't see.
And I thought it was normal until I grew up and talked to people, and I'm just like, oh, this was unique. This was unique.
It was different.
Yeah.
And it's, I can't reconcile. I can see it because I saw it.
Yeah.
But now that I think about it, I can't reconcile your dad being a law enforcer and the lover that he was. Like, what an incredible human. You get to see the worst in human beings every day.
Yeah.
But you also get to see the best in your family.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's just incredible mental and emotional capacity.
That's
right
true.
There,
That's true. I hope I get that too. I hope I have that.
I just thought about it last night. I was like, that dude was phenomenal because he was so compassionate.
Yeah.
I felt it with me. I saw it with how he dealt with the rest of the family. Yet we all knew he could have a farmhand. Yeah.
Oh, trust me, I knew about the farmhand.
How farm it was. And speed of lightning.
Bruh, let me tell you. There was a day it came, and even before it landed, bruh, I just wet myself, man. I just everything, just let go.
Let me tell you, I think slaps are the worst motherao.
Yeah.
Slaps are the worst mother. My mother was a teacher, and she learned to slap.
Yeah.
And every time I was in an argument with her as a kid, and I knew a slap could come out of this, I would prepare myself to duck. I was every time without fail, I was ready to duck. I had been practicing these ducks. I'm by myself in my bedroom in the mirror. I'm just ducking the slaps, imaginary slaps.
Yeah.
I never ducked even one. I never saw them coming. Speed of lightning.
Yeah.
I'd just be in the middle of, she'd be arguing, where Maraga, pop, pop. And then I'm stunned and I get angry that I didn't have the opportunity to repair this one. What was I thinking?
Yeah.
So when I'm done with that, whatever that argument is, I'll go back and start practicing my ducks again, like how to duck the slaps.
Yeah.
Now, we knew your dad could have a farmhand, but then, and we knew he was, we all knew his job.
Yeah.
But he had the emotional and mental capacity, and maybe even the Jedi level of, compartmentalizing, so that these worlds did not interfere with each other. They didn't cross.
It's pretty unique.
It's very crazy.
Yeah. It's pretty unique. Yeah.
Thank you for sharing that.
No worries.
It's cathartic
at all.
for me as well.
Yeah.
When your old man passed away, I didn't feel like I could mourn. I didn't have, at least immediately.
Yeah.
So I was concerned for you. I remember we spoke that day. And then we started putting together the Zoom meetings and stuff.
Yeah.
And then my mom, who was effectively her only father alive, got really sick out of grief. So I'm taking care of her.
Yeah.
And then I couldn't come to the burial.
Yeah, it was a crazy time.
It was a crazy time. It was during the first lockdown. Man.
Yeah.
I think it was 15 people or 20 people per.
Yeah.
I know we got some concessions. But it was a crazy time.
Yeah.
So this has helped. I've not had an opportunity to have conversations about him. And so, because I got into work mode, I'm sure you started grieving later. I started grieving later as well. And he really was my guka.
Yeah.
I love him, and I love him.
Total good man. People's person. Yeah.
more importantly, man, is that you and please share with me the details of your grief counselor. I think, on this show, if we find people who are good at what they do, we like to share those contacts. We like for people to be able to, if you're going through grief, or if you need whatever kind of counseling, here is one more resource that will you can share maybe her email address or her information, whatever you think she might be willing to.
Yeah. I can share first her name, and then maybe when somebody reaches out, you can personally connect them.
Send them a number or something.
Yeah.
Okay, what's her name?
Yeah, her name is Elizabeth Omondi.
Yeah,
she was actually my supervisor when I did counseling psychology, and man, she's just brilliant.
All right, guys, look her up, Elizabeth Omondi.
From Amani Counseling Center.
From Amani Counseling Center. That should be really useful for you.
Yeah.
But if you want her number or her email address, we'll reach out on the socials, especially. I'll be able to respond.
Yeah.
It follows then that the most impactful relationship you've ever seen is the relationship your parents had. So I'm not surprised that you're in the marriage ministry. Yeah?
Yeah.
Because you saw a great relationship, at least, to the best of our knowledge.
Yeah.
And from what I know, I'm sure they had their problems, but...
Oh, they did. Tons of them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For the most part, we saw a good marriage.
Yeah.
Apart from your folks, what do you think was a driver for marriage for you as a focus of your career and your ministry?
Yeah. I think it's a bunch of things. One, it's them. And then two, it's especially my mom and the impact that she had on the people around her and their marriages. I saw her deal with it with so much grace, with so much... she was very gentle.
Yeah.
She was very gentle. And then she was committed. It's like everything stopped to take care of your heart and soul when things were going down, especially with regards to marriage.
Yeah.
So a bunch of people benefited from that. And I could see, these are all people in Africa. Everybody who is a family friend is uncle and auntie. I know that uncle and auntie had this problem, but now I see them together and they look like they're thriving.
Yeah.
It's because you stepped in and you had conversations with them. I think that was one of the big ones.
Such a powerful image, man.
Yeah. But the other one, which I think is even now, this was the catalyst that took me over, is I got married when I was 25. So
it's pretty early.
That was pretty early.
Yeah.
My wife was 24. So we got married living abroad. And it was just the two of us. And I remember, man, we constantly used to ask ourselves, why weren't we told about this? Why weren't we told about this? There was so much knowledge that we didn't have about this space.
Yeah.
And feelings is all that warranted us.
My feelings.
Yeah. Those are my feelings inside. The nervousness, warm, fuzzy. Yeah. That was all that, qualified us. But we knew nothing, jack, about, this space. And I think maneuvering through it and learning the hard way, making so many mistakes, both of us. I was just like, you know what? At some point I realized, man, with the way we were raised, family truly is the foundation of society. And then when you live in a place like US, and then you see the brokenness of family, it explained to me why there's so much dysfunction in society. And I always say that, if at one point in time, I will drop everything that I'm doing just so that I can do this full time. Because if I am to impact society, let me impact it from the foundation. And the foundation is the family unit. I always say the family unit is like the cell. in your body. Very small, seems inconsequential, but the day your cell breaks down, you need to see a doctor. So society is the same way. And I feel that, if you put the right antibiotics, the right, antivirals within society, hopefully the dysfunction will grow less and there'll be more unity and harmony. The whole thing, charity begins at home. So the foundation of even the home, the family, is the husband and the wife. If that foundation is broken, it follows to the kids. Our foundation was good, so we turned out, pretty decent. And I feel like we are thriving. I feel like there's not many wounds, because if there were any, they were taken care of. I remember having conversations with my dad, my sister having conversations with my father, just talking about different things. And, and he blessed us, and he was intentional to do that. Quick story. And I think I shared this during the Zoom meetings. My father, because they didn't approve of my Christianity, my mom had come to visit me, and she saw me, leading this entire, group of people in the college that I was in. And it was a Christian-centered thing, and I was, basically doing what we do best in our family, MC.
That's true.
And through that time, I was just, guiding people from this place to this place, talking scripture. And she was like, "Oh, snap, this is my boy. This is my son. I mean, he can do this. He can lead all these people." And pardon the expression, but man, he's leading all these Caucasian folks, just to put it gently.
You can speak freely.
It's just like, man, he's leading all this white, and they're responding to him, and and she was just like, you know what? I think we missed it. Came and told my dad. My dad made a trip to the US.
Wow.
And when he made the trip to the US, I remember we hung out and, did quite a bunch of stuff. I took him through, I lived in Atlanta, so I took him to the different sights and sounds of Atlanta, and we had so much fun. But this was now coupled in between my having to work, and I worked a night shift from 7 to 7 in a warehouse. So I remember one morning, right before he came back, I got home. When I got home, I picked my wife and I rushed her to work. We had one car then. So she goes to work, and I come back home, and I'm ready now to, do some small pleasantries before I sleep. Hit the sack. And man, this guy had gone to the store, the supermarket, and he had gotten bacon, he had gotten sausages, he had gotten eggs, he bought orange juice because he knows I love orange juice more than tea, and he bought a bunch of stuff, and he cooked for me. And after he cooked for me, we were sitting there talking, and I was feeling weird. Hey, Father is not supposed to cook for me. I'm the one who's supposed to cook for Father. But anyway, we have seen that growing up, so it wasn't that strange, but it felt weird. You're a guest in my home.
Yeah, he's in the house.
Yeah. So then he asks me to kneel in front of me, and I was like, weird, dude, what's that about? And here's what he said. He said, "My son, I have spoken to your mother. Your mother told me the things that you're doing. And first of all, I want to apologize and say I am sorry if I've kept you from living out your dream and your desire. And I have come here to tell you that I bless you and I release you to do the things that you feel your God has called you to do." Bruh, waterworks, man. Waterworks, bruh.
Yeah,
man.
I'm fighting my own waterworks right
I
now.
know. I don't care what kind of a man you are.
Yeah.
Man, you break down at that. I remember I broke down, and I said thank you. And then he stood up and he hugged me. And that was the end of that story. And since then, I was like, okay, I'm free now to express my Christianity, my faith, my passion to help and support people. Because, back in those days, we were told if you're not an engineer, if you're not a doctor, if you're not any of those, those lawyer, you're not successful. So that gave me the freedom now to do this thing. Yeah,
that's so powerful.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So he was a deep man.
Clearly. The last maybe 3 years or so has seen you, just launch this ministry, I vow.
Yeah.
Grow it.
Yeah.
And I guess it's in its now growth trajectory.
Yeah.
Is there hope for Kenyan marriages? And I'm asking that because, bro, first, your nephew here, divorced.
Yeah.
And, dude, I can't see myself walking down an aisle soon.
Yeah.
I want to. I want to fall in love. I want to have love, romance, those things. I'm not saying I don't want those things.
Yeah.
Even though I have a recent heartbreak hotel story.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I'm not excited about marriage. Maybe I'm excited about a relationship, but I'm not excited about marriage, about walking down the aisle.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because of the work I do with men, and
Yeah.
I'm in a space where I hear a lot of stories very similar to you,
Yeah.
to yours. And I feel like, okay, there's a singer in my neighborhood. Wow.
That's weird.
I hope they have a great career. And I listen to conversations, and sometimes I'm like, the rate of divorce and separation has gone so high that I'm like, should we be rethinking marriage? Should we be rethinking the marriage model that is in the church? Should we be going back to a more traditional model of how marriage was done? Yeah.
First of all, I think marriage will always constantly evolve. Just because times change, things change, seasons change. But I think at the core of it, first of all, that marriage in itself is actually a very beautiful thing. In the purity of what marriage is.
What it's intended to be.
What it's intended to be. It's actually a very beautiful thing. The problem is, we do not know what it's intended to be.
What is it intended to be then?
So it's a multitude of things. And we go through this, over many weeks of having conversations with you. And one of the things and one of my driving forces that helps me go through this is actually words from a dude called Solomon. And basically what Solomon says is that there are 3 things that will make you successful in your family or put treasures within your home and fill it with, joy and laughter. The number 1 thing is knowledge. Basically, you need to know and understand what life is about, what people are about, what things are about. And one of the biggest things we don't do is seek knowledge about marriage. We are quick to seek knowledge about how we can make the next buck, how we can improve all those things. Yet careers and all those things last, a very short time. So we don't seek to understand and know what is relationship about. What is the purity of it? What is it about? The second thing is understanding this knowledge. How are you processing it and making it relevant to who you are as a person?
Yeah.
Then there's the wisdom part. So that's the third aspect. And wisdom basically is applied knowledge. So how are you applying it? So for me, when we moved back to Kenya, We'd lived in the US, and then we'd lived in Dar es Salaam, Tanzania, and then we came to Nairobi as a family. And I remember my wife and I took this thing called Ndoa, offered at Mavuno Church. And there's stories, and many people will tell you Ndoa doesn't work. But for us, where we were at, when we engaged with Ndoa, in fact, the first, if it ever ended in the first class, we had gotten everything.
It was enough.
We've gotten everything for our marriage, because one, that was the first time to us that for us to have the understanding the role our personalities play within our relationship. Now, we're totally different. My personality is almost like a type B. My wife is a type A. So my wife is a go-getter. Go. For me, just chill. Jesus is on the throne. Jesus is on the throne.
You were born in Dar es Salaam. It's not
I know, right?
It's not your fault.
I know, right? So, and she was born in Nairobi.
Yeah,
so you know, her pace.
She got the hustle.
Her
you got
pace
the chill.
is, 1,000 notches above mine. So my wife has lived in so much frustration with me, because she's just like, did I blunder? Almost like, did I blunder? This guy has no sense of urgency. It feels like he doesn't have mission, vision for life. But do I have it? Yes, it's just way slower than yours. And for me here, I'm just like, this woman can't slow down. This woman is totally unsubmissive. That's the word I used. I called her unsubmissive, until I learned, oh my God, all this time, all you are is a choleric. Oh, my choleric. And now she's my choleric.
Wow.
And what that did, having an understanding of personalities. Personality is like your operating system.
Yeah.
Okay? So understanding that personality, then I am able to just release her and tell her, where can I support you? Because you often think that leadership is me, I have to do it.
Yeah.
But leadership is also empowering the people around you to be everything that they're supposed to be.
Yeah.
Okay? So now all this I'm processing through learning about this.
Yeah.
So, we get to this point where we say, you know what? It's important for us to leverage on our strengths and cover each other's weaknesses. We get frustrated because our partner is not doing things the way we do, or how we do, the way we know it. They're weird because they're not doing it like we are. So simple things like that, and people don't know that. In fact, people will just say, this guy is weird, doesn't, and it's quite frustrating. It's about having understanding. You form your personality in the first 6 years of your life.
Yeah.
Like literally, first 6, 7, almost to 12 years, you form your personality. You spend the rest of your time perfecting that personality. Enter dude or chick with totally different personality,
At 30,
operating system at 30.
30 years of perfection.
Yeah. And now you're going to try and make them do something. I remember that conversation we're having, the PIP, putting someone on a performance.
Put guys on a performance improvement program.
You cannot change the person. What you can do is harness whatever energy they have and then put it towards a certain mission and vision that you have together as a couple, which a lot of people, again, don't have. We just exist. And we think... having kids, getting a home here or there, and we all have our different drives. So it becomes a struggle because we're not aligned. We don't have the right conversations to understand, how is my partner? I'm not here to change them, but I'm here so that they can be the best them. And this can actually impact our marriage positively. My choleric wife is the first person I'll make CEO of iVow, because I know she will run that organization and she will have my best interest and the organization's best interest at heart.
And she'll make it work.
Yeah. But don't put me in the CEO position. Yeah. It's not that I can't do it. I'll do it.
A lot slower.
But a lot slower. But then again, because of her personality, I'm the front facing because I have a way of talking to people. I have a way of, relating with people. I have so much more patience. I can chill and sit with you. I can do the counseling. I can do all those things. So it's just about understanding what are your strengths.
She'll just give you a list of things to do.
Oh, yeah. That's about it, pretty much, you know.
I know cholerics very well.
Yeah. So,
bro, that's gives me some hope, I think.
Yeah.
I guess. I have a couple of questions. It might be controversial. I don't know.
So before you ask the controversial question,
Yeah.
and I think one of the things I say at iVow is our goal is to preserve the sanctity of marriage and preserve it by, first of all, bringing knowledge. Every time I sit with a couple, by the time I'm done in the first session talking about where they're at, it changes their perspective. So when people have knowledge, then it becomes a little bit easier for them to make the right.
In fact, I'm so glad you said that, because my question comes from a statement like that, preserving the sanctity of marriage. And I don't mean to attack, but I feel that the church institution has elevated marriage more than the married. It's elevated the institution of marriage higher than the people who are in that marriage. And so anytime you have a conversation, especially the traditional church, on marriage, and it's like, do whatever you can to save the institution. And I'm not saying that is not, that there's no place for it. But often I feel at the expense, like they don't care what you're going through.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I feel like there's more care for marriage than there is care for the married people.
And I totally agree with you. Yeah.
And I feel like that model makes it very hard for us to come to the church when we need help.
Yeah.
Because, the church doesn't care about me.
Yeah.
They care about the institution.
Yeah.
And so they'll just be making me do anything to save the institution.
Yeah.
Without considering where my emotions are at, whether I'm going through some form of abuse.
Yeah.
Or whether, it's stuff from my past that maybe I should be healing, like you said.
Yeah.
There's no care for me.
Yeah.
In fact, it's marriage enrichment ministries, it's Ndoa. It's the only time I've seen care in a program.
Yeah.
For a church, when it comes to relationships, is divorce. That's why it's written.
You're
divorce
right. Divorce care. Yeah. Yeah.
And I'm a bit concerned about the approach that the church has for the institution of marriage.
Yeah.
Because I feel like they care more about the institution than the people.
Yeah.
I said that to some people the other day. I said, you look out for you, man. Love, Jesus says, love your neighbors, you love yourself. Love yourself. I'm not saying being selfish, but I use the biblical definition of love. I've talked about that on the podcast here.
Yeah.
About love is patient, love is kind.
Yeah.
It's not envious.
Yeah.
It does not keep record of wrong. Do those things with yourself.
Yeah.
And then you'll be able to do those things with your neighbor. And I was telling this couple that if you're able to love yourself and use the same blueprint to love your spouse, you'll be all right.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I wasn't saying keep the marriage.
Yeah.
Do whatever it takes to keep the marriage. I'm like, if you do the right things for self-care, if you do the right things to care for your spouse, chances are the marriage will survive.
That's true. Yeah.
Anyway, my question is, are you the church? Do you have the same approach as the traditional church? And if yes, why do you think it works?
Yeah.
And if not, what are you doing differently that
Yeah.
allows for a conversation to change?
Yeah. The answer is no, but the answer is also yes.
Okay.
So the no is the first, that I am adopting a totally different way and path of doing things. But yes, because I highly value the institution of marriage, just because of what I think it means. However, what I feel, and I'm saying this also as somebody who has a label or title, pastor, I really feel religion
That's a problem.
Religion has really failed the people because we've put people on performance and save face at all cost. So we don't really care about where you're at. But one of the things I've done for quite a long time is for the last maybe 15, maybe almost 20 years, I constantly read the New Testament, and not the whole New Testament, but the Gospels. And I read from Matthew, Mark, Luke, John, Matthew, Mark, Luke, John, Matthew, Mark, Luke, John, throughout. And my goal is to understand if this is the guy we are following, then who was he and what was he like? Bruh, this guy was so toxic towards the church, in quotes,
at the time.
And the Pharisees and the Sadducees and the way they acted. I mean, he had some stern words for them, like you brood of vipers, He really had some stern words for them. This is righteous, holy God saying this thing to these guys. They were supposed to be the SI unit of how we act in society. But the truth is, it was all fake. They were not real and authentic. Guess what Christ did? Christ hung out with tax collectors.
With the sinners.
He hung out with harlots, hoes. Let's put it the way, He hung out with hoes. And he was never judgmental, but he was so caring and gracious, and he cared about your heart. And where you're at. And he understood that if you're struggling, then everything else will struggle. And so that's the approach we take. First of all, our space is a non-judgmental space. I'm not here to you did what? The truth is, I'm human and I'm no different from you. And it will take a very little thing for me to be exactly where you're at. Because I also have feelings, I also have things and stuff you get. So first of all, it's to receive people where they're at, and then just say, hey, bruh, sis or girl, first of all, you just need to know, one, you're normal, you're okay, there's nothing wrong with you. This is just a process of life. And then now see how can we support you to get where you would like to be, because it's not where you need to be. It's where you would like to be, and kind of give you guidance on that. So that's one of the big things that we do, and we are seeing it work. That's one of the biggest things, especially when men come into the counseling room, they're like, this is not what I expected. This is not at all what I expected. So the lady is the one who brought them here, but the man now drives the conversation because, this is actually of value, and this makes sense.
Cool. That's very cool.
So it's just about understanding human dynamics. First of all, I hate being judged. I have a friend who constantly tells me about my Christianese, and it's just that one person who says that. In many different circles, it's unless people hear somebody say pastor or whatever, they don't know I'm a Christian. Does it bother me? I think it does a little bit. But I hate being judged and put in a box. So I'll never judge you and put you in a box. Because I just understand where you're at and where you feel, and you just want to be validated for you.
I had someone say he wanted to be a Christian until he met Christians.
That's true.
I think the definition of a follower of Christ, which is what the original Christians were, is a really good definition.
Disciple, yeah.
Yeah, today it has evolved.
It has, yeah.
And it's a label based on a religion.
Yeah.
You know? I don't mind not being called a Christian at all.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
I'd rather you come and ask me, dude,
I've seen something
I've
different.
seen something different. What's that about?
Yeah.
And then we can have a conversation about that. Hopefully they see something different.
Yeah.
I'm assuming they do.
Yeah.
Excuse me.
Mm.
So, last question maybe for the day for me, and I'm really enjoying this conversation. The model that we have, the vows that we say, the vows that we say, they're not in the Bible. They may be derived in some ways from the Bible, but there's no vows chapter in the Bible. In fact, if there was going to be a vows chapter, it would say, I vow to be patient, I vow to be kind, I vow to not keep a record of wrong. That would have been the vows, you know. But so the vows that we say are written by humans. They may have a biblical perspective,
Yeah.
you know, worldview.
Yeah.
The way we get married, that there's a man of God who puts you together. I've not seen that as a model.
Yeah.
Okay? We never see Mary and Joseph's wedding.
Yeah.
You know? And even when we see the wedding in the Cana of Galilee, we don't know what, at least not from that scripture. Maybe if we go and look at Jewish history, maybe we might see how maybe a rabbi put them together, whatever. But in the scripture, because I'm using the Bible, in the scripture, there was no prescription.
Yeah.
In fact, if there is prescription, it's drink wine.
Yeah.
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 If there's, the way to get married is to have an event where we drink wine. You know, that if I was to derive it directly from scripture.
Yeah,
you know? So there's this, the reason, because I'm in this space where I'm considering what my options are. So I'm asking this not from a challenging perspective.
Yeah.
It's because I'm considering, do I want to walk down the aisle? Do I want to build a partnership with someone? You know, what do I want?
Yeah.
And I'm asking, is my option, if I don't walk down the aisle in front of a pastor and a church and this, are the other options unchristian?
Okay. I don't really know how to answer that. I'll just be honest. But here is what thoughts I have. My thoughts begin from the beginning. You know, Adam gets this chick. He really digs her. He's so excited. Man, gives her a name. According to that culture, the moment you name something, you own that something. So calls her woman and then says, this is now bone of my bone and flesh of my flesh. And then the next words that come out of that are very powerful. And he says, a man shall leave his father and mother and then and then cleave to his wife. Meaning that there's intentionality that somebody will live somewhere, your family setting, and as you form and start your own family, you are cleaving. Now, if you look at the definitions of those and what it means, then there's an intentionality about exclusivity with each other. All right? I think over the years and centuries, they just put what do you call it? A formality to it. And within the Jewish culture, there was stuff that was done. Even Joseph will say, we can't get, we are courting, we are betrothed to be with each other. You can't tell people, we can't be together now that you've gotten pregnant outside of wedlock. So what does that tell you? It tells you that there was a process.
There was a culture, but
there was a culture and a process.
And a process, yeah.
That was involved. And in every single culture, if you think about it, there's a process. Even within our African context, you know, you and I are from the Kikuyu. The Kikuyu, we have a process where you know, there's first you go and state your intentions, and then you bring your people, and then there's dowry payment. So there's always a process, and the process involves families, it involves that, and then it's a public process so that it's understood that these two. Now, when you do that, then I guess this is why now the Bible can say, do not commit adultery. So what is adultery? It's having sex outside of marriage. So why would they say that? And this was in Moses' time that commandment was given.
Yeah.
All right. So then that means there should be some exclusivity. Now,
I think
it does not say that we go to church, we go to this. I think if I wanted, I find, well, I can't, but I'm married right now. But if a young man found this woman and they wanted to be together, I think they should be formal, because again, the Bible talks about fornication. So what is fornication? This is having sex all willy-nilly outside of the confines of marriage. So what does that say? It just means that you're not supposed to be doing it like all over the place. So it has to be in an exclusive place. So I guess that is what you'd see.
I even have issues with that exclusive place, because it could be exclusive within a community, you know.
Yeah, I hear you.
David had several wives.
Yes, he did.
I think he was good with God on that one.
Solomon had many wives.
Solomon had many wives.
And
we know
concubines.
they led him astray.
Yeah.
But I don't think it was the number. It was I think it was a number for him. But because that just means this is very important to you. It's more important than anything else that you have all these women. But in terms of whether polygamy was a problem, it didn't seem to be a problem in that culture, you know. And certainly it didn't, and that this is my interpretation, I could be wrong, but it didn't feel like it was a problem, like God had a problem with it. So again, this construct of one man, one wife, you know, I feel like it's insinuated.
Yeah.
There is models for it in the Bible, yes, you know. But I don't think that model was an exclusive model.
Yeah.
You know, because when I look even at people like Jacob, you know, I don't think it was an exclusive model. I think it was maybe an ideal model, but not an exclusive one. And I think I'm in that space now where I'm looking at all the things that have been taught and have been made to believe, and I'm questioning where did they come from. Not even whether they're good or bad. I think there's a lot of good in them. Where did they come from? And are they from the Bible, or are they from
human?
You know. I know there's a lot of people that are hurting in their marriages. And I'm not trying to make excuses for them. I mean, if your marriage is not working, your life is not going to work. You know.
That's the bottom line.
And I know that for a fact, because I went through it. I want people to know that they have someone like you who is passionate and willing to help them find a path that gives them healing and hopefully keeps their marriage working. And so I want to ask them, where do they find you?
Well, you can find me on my socials, mostly Instagram.
What are they?
At Emmanuel. And for I vow is at what I vow.
At
what I vow.
What I vow. WHATIVOW.
Yes.
Okay.
And the I is always a small I.
Okay.
Right.
And Emmanuel is GACH. Then the word Emmanuel.
Okay. The name Emmanuel. So you can find me on there. And I'd be totally honored and excited to just walk this journey with you. But I hear you on the polygamy thing. Because there's many, again, insinuations from different Bible verses. However, the one big one is just, the only thing I see that is really profound is that people with more than one wife cannot be a leader, elder in church. And I think this is in Timothy.
Yeah.
But yeah, other than that, it's
if being a leader and an elder in church is not your aspiration,
then yeah. But
I hear
but
you.
yeah.
I mean, and I think there's arguments for and against, and that's not what I wanted. I don't want to get into that because it's probably going to be an unending debate.
That's true. Yeah.
But I think for me, the question about what is Christian, what is unchristian, what came from the Bible, what is a human construct, I think is and with even human constructs have great intentions.
Yeah.
I think it's an important, at least for me, it's an important journey to go through as I evaluate. This is me working out my Christianity, with fear and trembling.
Yeah.
Because I just don't want to buy what I've been told hook, line, and sinker.
That's true. That's true. And I constantly tell people, please read for yourself. There's a lot of people who are giving interpretations, and it's their interpretations. Interpretations based on their culture, interpretation based on their society, the things that they encountered growing up. So please read it for yourself. Have your own relationship with God. If that's your thing. It's interesting because the largest number of my congregation, I don't have a congregation, but of my clientele are atheist and agnostic, and they find a safe space. And I think that speaks to something, and it's something that I've always desired. It's just to kill that Christianese label, just so that I can be able to reach. That's why I would leave the church, and I've taken I vow to the marketplace.
It's a business.
It's an organization.
It's an organization.
Yeah,
okay.
It's an organization. So I don't call it a ministry. I call it an organization.
That's a good word. Yeah.
Yeah, it is.
Bro, man. First, you've played such a huge role in my life, and I'm grateful. Very grateful to you. And I'm so proud of the work that you're doing, man. I couldn't be proud of your heart for people and for their relationships. And I pray that heart, you never lose it. Our family has gone through, greatness. Your grandfather, my great-grandfather, was greatness embodied. His children have been great. But we've also had drama.
Yeah.
And I feel like we have the opportunity, our generation, age-wise, has the opportunity to restore, the greatness and influence that our family has had. And so you're definitely carrying a mantle that is an important one.
Yeah.
I'm proud of you, man.
Appreciate it, my man.
I'm really proud of you.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, and thank you for coming to visit Shago, man.
No worries, man. It was a blast. It was much. It had been in the works for a while.
Yeah. You're welcome again. Anytime.
It's sad that you have to move out of Nairobi for me to come and really
and
like
visit.
hang out.
Imagine that. This thing it's been interesting, but it also gave us it's given us good opportunity to have some conversations we probably never have had.
Yeah. And I think it was time.
And it was time.
Yeah.
So guys, you've heard what I vow.
Sorry, before you finish.
Yeah.
You're doing a fantastic job. Allow me to affirm you.
Oh, thanks.
Men are a forgotten species within society. And because of the way we are wired, we think of others before we think of ourselves. And you're doing a fantastic job caring for the man. And the fact that you're doing it from not a level of expertise, but your brokenness, and allowing people to speak and allow themselves to just open up, that's amazing in itself. And kudos to you.
Thank you.
I celebrate you, and I just pray, man, this thing grows, and many men will be changed because they walked through your doors, had a phone call with you, or came and visited Ushago.
Yeah. We're setting up a place for them.
Yeah.
God willing.
Love that vision.
God willing, this time next year there'll be a place for in Ushago. Guys can come and hang out and chill and let their hair down.
Yeah.
But thank you for saying those words. It means a lot from you.
No worries, man.
Yeah, man. It's what I vow. And what I vow is that this guy will come back another time. What I vow is that we'll continue working and creating safe spaces for men and sometimes for women to heal, to process life. What I vow is that if you keep doing the right things, man, if you keep making just one good decision every day, life gets better.
Yeah.
Just one. That's it. Just make one good decision today.
Goes a long way.
Goes a long way. Damn, man, this podcast just makes me feel so emotional, man. Thank you, Uncle Gasho.
No worries.
Yeah, if you like what you heard, please listen to the previous episodes of this podcast. We're now at episode 85. If you also like what you heard and you'd like to support this podcast, check out the show notes. We'll tell you how you can support it. I want to send you to Eval. Check out what they're doing. I'm sure there's someone in your life who needs to talk to Gasho, and send them to him. He's doing incredible work. He loves what he does. God bless you. Keep safe. Just because the curfew is gone, COVID is gone. Take care of yourself. I love you guys, man.